Welcome back to LinkedIn Editors Live at the Milken Institute Global Conference in Los Angeles. I'm Caroline Fairchild. Edelman recently came out with a barometer looking at trust in the financial services industry. I'm joined now by Deidre Campbell, Global Chair of Financial Services at Edelman. Deirdre, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, trust in financial services has always been low. This report shows that it's low. What can you tell me about why that is?
Right. So why don't I back up just a moment to tell you about the barometer and how it's constructed. So this is the 19th year of the Edelman Trust Barometer. It's the only global research of its kind that measures trust. And the reason that we measure trust is because trust is a business imperative, right? So if your company is trusted, people are going to buy your stock, defend you in a crisis, recommend you to a friend, and so forth. And so back in 2001, our CEO was looking at the battle in Seattle. You might recall when the NGOs stormed the World Trade Organization talking about globalization, and the firm began to sort of wonder what that was all about. So the barometer was constructed to measure trust in government, business, NGOs, and the media, looking at these four institutions as institutions that collectively comprise a force that can manifest change in societies for good or not. We look at a number of global sectors, financial services among them. We began looking at financial services specifically in 2012. So it has been on a steady rise since 2012. This year, the global financial services trust number is 57.
So what does that mean in terms of why are the numbers moving up and why are they still so low?
Being at 57 means it's only 3 points away from being in the trusted category.
Okay.
So we are definitely in a positive trajectory. I have to say, I'm a little surprised that we're continue in a positive trajectory, given deregulation, given macroeconomic instability, given there's a lot of calling for a recession. But with the economy basically sound and unemployment rate pretty good, I think people feel better about the financial services sector.
So when you look at a report like Edelman's Trust Barometer, what should financial service leaders take away from that trust is so relatively low in their industry compared to, say, other industries?
So I tell clients and companies that we work with not to worry too much about having to carry the water for the whole industry, but what can they do to make sure that their company is a trusted company. And so the barometer told us this year that the number one issue that respondents want financial services companies to address is income inequality and financial stability. And it's interesting because I'm hearing it in almost every single panel. Christine Lagarde closed the opening session this morning by saying that capitalism as we know it won't exist in 20 years if we don't address income inequality and financial stability. So I'm hoping that while we're here at Milken, we're going to get to more than just the questions, but some real tangible actions, because the barometer also tells us 76% of respondents expect CEOs to take action on social good and not wait for government. And so the barometer looks at different types of steps that financial services companies can take to build trust.
And what does that tell us? If 78% of respondents are looking to CEOs to drive change, what does that tell us about how private sector leaders need to change what they're doing on a day-to-day basis?
It's interesting. It's kind of a flip from about 10 years ago when you saw a lot more cry for government to make change. But we see CEOs, Larry Fink's talking about impact investing. We see even Jamie Dimon quoted that 76% stat from the Edelman Trust Barometer in his annual letter. So I think you see companies coming together either in private to private or public to private partnerships to try to bring greater social change faster.
We know that trust in financial services is low. What was surprising about the barometer this year?
One of the things that's super interesting is this is just a global number. 81% of respondents tell us that they trust their employer more than any other institution. Now, in financial services, I said that it's the least trusted sector. Yet, when we asked respondents that were employees of financial services companies, they trust their employer to do the right thing more than any other sector that we survey. So that tells us that financial services employees really want to be an active participant in the missions and values of the company because they believe in the missions and values of the company. And CEOs and leadership need to think about these employees as an army of brand ambassadors that really want to get out there and be part of what's positive and going on at their company. So if you tie that employee energy to CEO leadership and circle it on an issue that the industry needs to change, whether it's data privacy, whether it's greater access to capital, whether it's greater financial stability. How do we bring all of these concepts together so that we're working as a whole to accelerate the pace of change?
Let's talk a little bit about data privacy. You just shared that employees at financial service firms do have a lot of trust in their employer, but that may surprise people who work outside the industry who are seeing a lot of bad actors in the headlines about data privacy. So why is there this disconnect between how employees feel about the industry and how perhaps consumers feel?
I think that employees have a better understanding of what's going on at the company to protect people's data privacy. So we're hearing from panels this morning how expensive, how much money goes into the technology at big banks to protect data privacy. Because what we say to clients, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so it's not always that the bad actors, but that they're sort of keeping ahead of hackers and people that are out there looking to steal people's data. So it's a real issue and it's a real expense for big financial institutions.
I'm going to go ahead and take some questions from this stream. We hear from Laura Super. She wants to know, is the trust level at financial firms making them more desirable places to work? Or is it primarily customer focused?
We hope that they're making them more attractive places to work. And what we do is we help clients sort of take their values and align them to purpose-driven platforms where employees can get engaged and where they can also sort of talk about those societal efforts online and in their recruiting materials so that people think this is a company that's doing some good things and I'd like to participate in that. And they don't have to be, sort of community charity type stuff. It can be designing investment funds that address issues that are of a concern. So there's, oncology funds out there, and Alzheimer's funds. And if you want to participate, and the company's still going to make money, but you're going to get to participate in solving one of the world's big problems, and sort of it's a win-win for everybody. So it's not all just philanthropic. Sometimes it's just doing what you know how to do really well and making sure that that is providing societal good. Financial stability in and of itself provides societal good.
So what can we expect from trust in the financial sector moving forward, particularly if we may encounter a recession sometime soon?
It's always hard to tell what we're going to what to expect. I mean, we've seen some pretty bumpy roads over the last few years with the populist movement and so forth, and we've seen a continued incline, a rise in financial services trust. So we're hopeful that will continue as we see a whole lot more companies out there really talking about wanting to be part of the solution for income inequality, financial stability, sound retirement savings, greater access to capital. We're hearing a lot more companies be very vocal and actionable about that. Also, the fintech world really comes in through a different door. Rather than coming in through a finance door, they come in through a customer service door, which means that consumers are having a different and better relationship with their financial services companies, or at least the ones that have figured it out.
Taking another question here from the stream. Ricky Chen wants to know, how should CEOs voice their opinion on some of these issues, income inequality, et cetera, without alienating potential customers?
Yeah. It's a very tricky subject, right? Because I've had clients say, look, no matter what I say, I'm going to alienate 50% of the population of the United States, right? So that's no one's objective. What we counsel clients on is to be very, very clear on what the company's values are and very demonstrable on what the company's values are and be out there. The CEO should be talking about his or her own personal commitment to those values. Those values need to manifest themselves in real ways that you can point to and involve others to participate in. And when something, whether it's societal, political, economic, that really flies in the face of those values in a way that is very clear, then it would be expected that the company would take a voice in that.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Deidre.
Great, thank you.